Let's take a look at linear functions and slope. And first thing we'll take a look at is slope. Now slope is represented by little m, and it's the change in y over the change in x. Now, if you're given 2 points, x1, y1, or y1, and x2 and y2, then the slope of the line that goes through those 2 points is given by this formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's take a look at our first problem here. It gives us -4, 2, and 5 and 7. And instructions say find the slope of the line passing through each pair of points or state the slope is undefined. So we're going to label. This is our first point, so this is x1, this is y1, and this is our second point, so that'll be x2 and that'll be y2. It actually doesn't matter which one you specify as your first point, which one is the second point, you'll get the same answer. Now for our formula, we'll replace our variables with parentheses. So we'll have parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. If you mess up on signs, this is a really good thing to do. Well, now where the y2 was, we'll put in 7. And where the y1 was, we'll put in 2. Where the x2 was, we put in 5. And where the x1 was, we put in -4. Well, we got 7 minus 2, that gives us 5. And down below, we got a minus parentheses minus. That becomes a plus. So we got 5 plus 4, which gives us 5/9. Now we also have something called a slope-intercept form. Now the slope-intercept form looks like this. Y is equal to mx plus b. And basically you have it solved for y, and it's a linear equation. Well, if you have it in that form, then whatever number is before your x is going to be your slope. And we already know that. M is our slope. And then the number at the end is going to be our y-intercept. So b is our y-intercept. These next problems are going to revolve around putting it in slope-intercept form. So let's take a look at this. It tells us the slope is -3. And it says passes through the point -5, -1. And it says use the given conditions to write an equation for each line in slope-intercept form. Okay. This is finding equation of a line. And our first step is to find m. Now here initially m will be pretty easy. It'll be given to us. See how up above they tell us slope is -3, so m is equal to -3. Step 2. Into y equals mx plus b, plug in the given point for x and y, and m from step 1, and solve for b. Okay, so we got y is equal to mx plus b. Now they give us a point here, say it passes through that, so they're basically giving us the x and they're giving us the y. So we'll put specific point, that is. So we'll put -1 in for the y. M from step 1 we said was -3, and x is -5. And then plus b. And then we want to solve for b. Well, negative 3 times negative 5 gives us positive 15 plus b. Take 15 over the left side, becomes a negative 15. And we get b is equal to negative 16. And we can't forget step 3. A lot of people do. We need to write our answer down. What they're asking for is find equation of the line. Well, from step 1, we said m was negative 3. So plug that in. And from step 2, we said b was negative 16. So plug that in. And that would be our answer to our original problem there. Now, some of you may learn that a little bit different. You may have learned using the point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And if it works for you, fantastic. Keep using it. I used to teach both of them. And then one semester I had 2 students from Japan in my college algebra class. The girl, she sat in the back row. She slept every class. This is a 3-hour class. She'd wake up, come test time, she'd get her 100%, and she'd go back to sleep. She got a lot of good rest. The guy, he paid attention. I asked him one night, I said, well, why do you pay attention? And weird question for an instructor to ask a student. And he said from his culture, he couldn't come to class and not pay attention. Well, the reason why I asked him that is both of them had taken up through the equivalent of Calc 2, Calc 3 in high school. So for them, they aced every test. But they were coming over here to get a degree, and high school credit in the high schools over in Japan did not transfer as college credit over here, so they had to take that. They were, I think, both business majors, if I remember right. So they had to take the class. There was no testing out at that point or any kind of equivalencies. Well, he asked me one night. He's after I covered these topics, point slope form and slope intercept form. He said, "Why are you covering both of those?" And I mean, he asked respectfully, you know, like. And I said, well, you need both, depending upon what the problem looks like. And he proceeded to prove me you could do everything with the slope-intercept form. And so since then, I've just used slope-intercept form. Because I like one formula, or I like one set of steps. It works 100% of the time. I think it just works better with students. Okay, let's look at our next problem. Let's see, slope is negative 4. And it passes through the point, negative 2, 21 over 2. Okay, first step, find m. Well, this one, m is given again, so it's pretty straightforward. Step 2, plug in the given point for x and y. Again, this is x and this is y, so we got 21 over 2 here, and also plug in m from step 1, which was negative 4, and x is negative 2, and then plus b. And then solve for b. Well, negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8, plus b. Take the 8 over to the other side, becomes a negative 8. Now this is a mixed number. We can take the negative 8 times 2, gives us negative 16, and we'll add to 21, and that gives us 5. So our b is equal to 5/2. Now step 3, write our answer down. So we'll plug in our m we just found. M was negative 4, and b, which was 5/2. And that's our answer. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay. So here I'm passing, it's passing through, sorry, I got a call in the other room. I was listening to the voicemail. Okay, passing these 2 points. Still the same instructions, find equation of the line. Step 1 hasn't changed. It says find m. But in this case, we're going to have to use the formula. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, I'll label these. This is my first point, so that's x sub 1, y sub 1. This is our second point, so that'll be x sub 2, y sub 2. Well, we'll plug in our values. Let's see, y2 was 30, y1 is 10, x2 is 8, and x1 is 4. 30 minus 10 is 20. 8 minus 4 is 4. So that gives us m is equal to 5. Step 2 hasn't changed. It says plug in the given point for x and y and the m we just found. Solve for b. Well, we got 2 points. What you do is you pick one, whichever one looks easier to you. Weird as it seems, they'll both give you the same answer. I'll plug in 4 and 10. So put 10 in for y. M from step 1 we said was 5. And then x is 4 plus b. Well, 5 times 4 is 20. Take 20 over left side, becomes a negative 20. And we get b is equal to negative 10. Well, we can't forget our last step. Last step is to write your answer. From step 1 we said m was 5. And from step 2 we said b was negative 10. So that would be our answer. And let me grab a drink. Okay, so passes through these points. Negative 1, negative 5, and 4, negative 3. Still the same steps. Step 1, find m. So we got m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we'll label these. This is our first point, so that's our x1, y1. This is our second point, so that's x2, y2. And we'll go through, and wherever we have a variable, put parentheses in. Y2 we said was negative 3. Y1 is negative 5. X2 is 4. X1 is negative 1. Now if you have a minus, parentheses minus, that becomes a plus. So this is negative 3 plus 5. And down below here, minus, parentheses minus becomes a plus. That's 4 plus 1. So m, negative 3 plus 5 gives us 2. 4 plus 1 gives us 5. So m would be equal to 2/5. Well, step 2. Plug in the given point for x and y and the m from step 1, and then solve for b. I'll plug in the first point. It may look a little easier. So I got negative 5 for the y. M was 2/5, and x is negative 1 plus b. So we got negative 5 is equal to negative 2 over 5 plus b. 2/5 times negative 1. Take negative 2/5 to the left side, becomes a positive 2/5. And this is a mixed number. So I'm going to take negative 5 times 5 gives us negative 25, plus 3 gives us negative 23 over 5. If you think of fractions, plug in your graphing calculator. Negative 5 plus 2 divided by 5, enter, math, enter. And we'll change it to that for you. Okay, step 3. Write our answer down. Well, we found m. M we said was, where is m? 2/5. That's up here. So we've got y is equal to 2/5 x, and we found b, which is negative 23 over 5. And that would be your answer. Well, let's look at this one. Okay, x-intercept is 3, and y-intercept is negative 1. A lot of people, when they hit this problem, same instructions, find equation line. A lot of people, when they hit this thing, well, he hasn't given us enough information, or he didn't show us an example of this. So I finally started showing it, at least part of it. The x-intercept, if you think what that is in point form, that'd be 3, 0. Y-intercept, that'd be negative 1. Wait a minute. Try it again. 0, negative 1. So this is the same type of problems we've been looking at. You know, first step, find m. Well, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2, let me label them. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So y2 is -1, y1 is 0, x2 is 0, x1 is 3. So that gives us -1 over -3, which would give us positive 1/3. Now they actually give us the y-intercept. The y-intercept is b, if you remember right. But if you didn't recognize that, no big deal. It'll be obvious once you plug it in. I went through step 2. Plug in a given point. I'll choose 3, 0 because it doesn't have any negatives. So put 0 in for y. M was 1/3, and x is 3 plus b. 1/3 times 3 gives me 1. Take the 1 over the left side, becomes a -1. And we found our y-intercept. Found b. Okay, so now step 3. Write your answer down. M we just said was 1/3, and b is -1. So that'd be our answer. Not sure why that goes green every once in a while. Let's look at this one. Time for my little tablet to blow up. Try to get it going here. Okay, there we go. We got y is equal to -1/2 x plus 3. It says give the slope and y-intercept and then graph it. Well, slope-intercept form is when it's y equals, which is this is the right form. So our slope is going to be the number before x, which is -1/2, and our y-intercept is going to be the number at the end, which is 3. Now let me show graphing it by hand. Then I'm going to use a calculator. We first go and we'll put a dot for our y-intercept. Y-intercept is 3, so we'll put a dot at 3. Now the slope is a change in y over change in x. Change in y, this is a -1. Means we'll go down 1. If it's a positive 1, we'll go up 1. This is a positive 2, which means we're going to go right 2. If it was a -2, we'd go left 2. So from the point we just put on there, we're going to go down 1. So from a y-intercept, we'll go down 1, and we'll go right 2. And we'll put our second point. Now after you have those 2 points, you connect them together with a straight line, and that'd be your answer. Now if we were using a TI-3, TI-4 calculator to do this, I'd press my y equals, I'd press clear to clear out wherever's in that line. We got negative, the little dash on the bottom row, 1 divided by 2, x key plus 3, and then graph. And that'll give us our answer there. Now sometimes you can't get it into slope-intercept form. And it revolves around one of our special lines. First one is when you got x is equal to a number, like x is equal to 1. Well, this is going to be a vertical line at, line up and down, at 1. Now specifically, your slope here is undefined. And if I looked at my points, no matter what, they would all start with the same x value. So they'd all start with 1. Now we have our other one where we got y is equal to a number, like y is equal to 2. Well, that's going to be a horizontal line at 2, like that. Now if you got a horizontal line, m is always equal to 0, and any point we look at on that line will be of the form any x value, comma, and then whatever y value we have, in this case 2. Now what makes these special cases is they only have one variable. You notice that problem we just did had an x and a y. So let's look at some of these now. We got f of x is equal to 2. It says graph each equation in a rectangular coordinate system. Now remember, f of x is the same as y, so they're telling us, I shouldn't have picked the same number. Oh well. It's a horizontal line at that number. So that would be our answer. Now that one you can actually plug in your calculator, as weird as it seems. If I come here and if I press y equals, press clear, if I put 2 in and then push graph, it gives us that graph. Anytime you can solve for y, you can put it in your calculator. Well, let's look at the next one. We have 4x minus 8 equals 0. Just like that previous problem, it just had one variable. This says graph it. This just has one variable too. But we have to solve for x. So I'm going to take the negative 8 over. It becomes a positive 8. Divide both sides by 4. And we get x is equal to 2. Well, this is a vertical line at 2. Like that. Now this one we wouldn't be able to graph on our graphing calculator. It's best to do it by hand. Now don't get me wrong, you can graph a vertical line on your calculator, but first you have to know it's vertical. And if you know this is going to be vertical, you might as well just go ahead and draw the line at 2. If you're real curious to put a vertical line on your calculator, it's under the draw menu. But do second program and choose vertical. In my case is 4, and you I guess I have to be out of graph mode. Okay, let me go out of graph mode, then go into the draw menu, second program, choose vertical, and then if I put in 2 and push enter, it'll put a vertical line at 2. If you're going on to Calc 2, that comes in handy when you're trying to find where something's bounded by. Let's take a look at our last problem. We got 5x minus 4y minus 12 equal to 0. And it says rewrite the given equation in slope-intercept form and graph. If we have it in slope-intercept form, it's very easy to graph by hand. It's also very easy to plug in your calculator. So we need to solve for y. Well, I'm going to take the negative 4y over to the right side. And we get 5x minus 12 equals positive 4y. And then we'll divide everything by 4. So divide the 5 by 4, the negative 12 by 4, and the 4 by 4. And so we get 5/4 x minus 3 equals y. Now if I was doing this by hand, first thing I do, my y-intercept is negative 3. I'd come put a point at negative 3. Now our slope is 5/4. Changing y over changing x. So that means I'm going to go up 5 from the y-intercept. I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 4. And that's where I put my second point. Then after you get your second point, you draw a line through them. And that'd be your answer. But again, on the calculator, it's very easy too. If I press y equals, press clear, then I got 5/4 x, so I do 5 divided by 4, then my x key, minus 3, and then graph. And I'll give us the same graph we just drew there. And actually, that's the last slide there. So we're done with that one.